A lot of you, like me, may have grown up with Mr. Rogers. I grew up with Mr. Rogers, literally, not literally, well, I didn't know the guy personally, but Mr. Rogers' studio was right next to my high school. Mr. Rogers was a Pittsburgh institution. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania is where I grew up. Of course, he was known all across the country, and he was the guy, you know. I mean, Mr. Rogers, you grew up with Mr. Rogers. I learned so much from Mr. Rogers, as many people did, and he was really one of a kind. So in Pennsylvania, they're doing something for that. He died not too long ago, and here's something that's going on over in my home state of Pennsylvania. Governor Wolf of Pennsylvania designates May 23rd as 143 Day in honor of Fred Rogers. So happy 143 Day. Performing acts of kindness will carry extra significance May 23rd, the 143rd day of the calendar year. That's the date chosen as an homage to the late Fred Rogers and his philosophy of caring. Governor Tom Wolf will declare May 23rd as 143 Day with the hope that Pennsylvanians across the state will be inspired to look out for one another Thursday. An online kindness generator in a social media campaign will promote the event. Carrie Fisher-Lepore, Deputy Director of Marketing, Tourism, and Film, said it's hoped that corporation and public agencies will join in. Rogers, the iconic childhood development expert and Mr. Rogers' neighborhood host, used to consider 143 a special number. There is 1 digit in I, 4 in love, and 3 in you. Aww. He also maintained a weight of 143 pounds through adulthood, swimming daily at the former Pittsburgh Athletic Association pool. That's awesome. Pennsylvania state agencies are expected to temporarily change their logos in honor of the occasion. This is not about trying to inspire travel. This is purely about trying to inspire kindness and gratitude and love for our neighbors, Ms. Lepore said. But if you want to travel here, that's okay. I mean, let's be honest, Ms. Lepore. Come on. This is a great thing. Like, this is really cool. I'm just having a little, just poking a little bit of fun. But, yeah, you wouldn't mind some tourism. That's really cool. I grew up with Mr. Rogers. I still have not seen the movie. If you've seen the movie, no spoilers, please. I still have not seen the movie. And Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, I'm sure a lot of you grew up with that show. And if you haven't, or even if you have, I totally recommend checking out the movie. Learning more about Fred Rogers. He was the man. I mean, he really was. And he was light years ahead of his time. I know at one point, and this was years ago, I know at one point they were, a lot of people would question his sexuality. Because I guess he gave off vibes that some people felt was feminine or whatever. And, they asked him about it. Like, they point blank asked him. And keep in mind, this was at a different time in our society where, we have become a less homophobic society since then. At least I certainly hope we have, and I feel like we have. But they questioned him on it. And this was years ago, again, where there was a more, homosexuality was more taboo in our culture. And he just point blank said, even back then, he just kind of looked at them and he was just like, you know what? It was when he was kind of giving a message of comfort. I think it was during the Gulf War, maybe, where he was trying to give a message of comfort to children, where he's like, look, you might be confused right now. You might have questions right now. But that's okay. And it's okay to ask those questions. And it's okay to tell your parents that you're scared, that you don't know. And you should know that there's people out there who love you very much, and you're going to be okay. And I remember these messages. I'm remembering these messages now as I'm talking about this. I would hear those messages in my childhood. And they meant a lot. They meant a lot. And it's... I don't know what's going on with children's programming today. I have no clue because I don't have children. And nobody in show business has invited me to write on a children's show or anything like that. So I have no fucking clue. Some of my friends write for some shows on Nickelodeon, so they know more about the kids show marketplace. And then of course I have a lot of friends that have kids, so they're more hip to it too. I'm not hip at all. So I have no idea if there is a Fred Rogers equivalent. And he was one of a kind, so it's not like there's, but like a kind of modern day Fred Rogers, so to speak. I don't know if that's out there or not, or if it's out there in the micro level in several different inceptions, but I certainly hope that it is. I really hope that it is. But anyway, he was giving those messages, and somebody, said like, oh, some people, they kind of question maybe your sexuality. And he just looked at them deadpan, and he just said, I'm trying to give a message to comfort to children and their families. I want them to get that message. Every other element, I don't care. And that was the right response, first of all. To be totally honest with you, I don't even know what his sexuality was. I don't care at all. But it was so cool that even back then, somebody thought they were asking this taboo question. They were opening up this taboo Pandora's box, and he just said, who gives a shit? I don't care. People can think whatever they want about me. I don't care. If these kids are getting comfort in what I'm doing, then I'm doing my job. And that's who Mr. Rogers was. He was a pioneer. He was an innovator. And he genuinely cared about his community. He did a lot for the community of Pittsburgh up until his death. And he was one of a kind. I mean, I know that's such a cliche sentiment, but I don't know how else to put it. He was just, and I'm remembering different Mr. Rogers segments as I'm talking about this, and it's, I have a lot of really fun memories. Especially when I'd be homesick from school. Watch some I'm not going to school today. I'm going to watch some Mr. Rogers. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and make it our own. Get your